This is the wildest thing I've ever seen on this app.
Now, what I said in my video was that Black people created slavery. I clarified it right when I put up the video, that I was talking about in the US, not the entire world. That is because of Anthony Johnson.
Okay, we're not going to listen to her anymore because we're all dumb enough already. I want you to imagine, if you will, that somebody plops themselves down in front of the phone camera on TikTok, okay? And they create a 5-minute video about Buzz Aldrin. You know who Buzz Aldrin is, right? He was the guy that went up into space and landed on the big cheese in the sky at that one time, okay? Imagine somebody does a 5-minute video on the life and career of Buzz Aldrin, of the Apollo space program, and of the time that Buzz punched a guy in the face because he said the moon landing was fake, right? Okay. Now imagine during that video, this person keeps repeating that Buzz Aldrin was the first person to walk on the moon, right? Doesn't that sound strange? If this person were to tell you that they didn't know who Neil Armstrong was, that would defy believability, right? How could you know about Buzz Aldrin and the Apollo program and the moon landings and early spaceflight without knowing who Neil Armstrong is? Like that seems impossible, right? Okay, so you've got those two people. I want you to keep them in mind. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. Everybody's heard of them. They're joined at the hip. Now I'm going to tell you about two people you've probably never heard of. John Punch and John Kassor. First, the story of John Punch. He's African. John Bunch is an indentured servant working for some white man. He escapes with two other indentured servants who happen to be white in the 1640s. All three of them get caught for doing the exact same crime of Kunta Kinteing away from the master at the same time from the same guy. That part is important because when they get sentenced, the two white boys are sentenced to an extended indenture while John Punch is sentenced to lifetime slavery. And this is the most important part. This is the first time in colonial law that the difference in race between servants becomes a material difference in a legal matter. Okay, so John Punch became a lifetime slave because he was black. All right, now we're going to fast forward 10-something years later and tell you the story of John Kassor, also an African. Like John Bunch, John Kassor is also an indentured servant. Unlike John Bunch, his contract is with a black man who became free after serving his indenture. That guy's name is Anthony Johnson, and that's the Anthony Johnson that Eyebrow Medusa was talking about in her video. Anthony Johnson's natural black ass has a bunch of white people working on his farm, kind of like me.
I don't hear no spirituals. Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba.
Anthony Johnson owns the indenture on John Kassor. One day, John Kassor says, I'm done being indentured for you according to my contract of 7 or 8 years. I'm out. And so he leaves and he goes to work for a white man. Anthony Johnson, who has become a wealthy planter by this point, is worried that he's going to lose his head right if he can't claim Kassor as his indenture. And so he sues the guy that he is working for now to get him back. Eventually, the court agrees and sentences him to a lifetime of slavery. Okay, so you got the first documented slave, which is John Bunch, and then you got the second documented slave, which is John Kassor. Now, among people who know about slavery in the early colonies, this is not controversial. This is not disputed. And for people who come in reading about early colonial history and the slavery in early colonial history, it is almost impossible to read about John Kassor without also reading about John Bunch, and vice versa. What I'm saying is that Anybody who knows enough to get on a TikTok and do a 5-minute diatribe about early slavery in the early colonies, there is no way you know who John Casor is and not know who John Bunch is. Which means that when you say things like this,
after a couple of years through the Virginia court system, they actually went in Johnson's favor and brought Castor back to Anthony Johnson, claiming him as a slave for life, thus creating slavery, legal slavery, not servitude, legal slavery here in America. It was because of Anthony Johnson, who was a black man.
Then it means you're lying and you're doing it on purpose. Now, why would she do such a thing? Well, she tells us herself.
I definitely pissed off the black community, and it is what it is.
What it is the purpose of your account, which is to channel rage and cultural illiteracy into a belief among mediocre white men that no one's had it harder than them. That shit produces money and votes of a questionable origin like Elon Musk. If you have a strong enough stomach, go look at her account. That's all her account is. She is obsessed with black people. And it's working, because this video that she's made where she's just dead wrong on the most basic Googleable of facts has millions of views and a bunch of ignorant incel types just jumping for joy in her comments. So in the interest of undoing all the damage she's done by putting this crap in front of millions of eyeballs, please, pretty peas with a cherry on top, repost and share this video to your stories for the love of God!